Hello and welcome to the big picture. There has been a long pending demand for amending labour laws in this country. The Union Cabinet last night has approved amendments to 3 labour laws, the Apprenticeship Act 1961, Factories Act 1948 and Labour Laws Act 1988. The amendments apparently are aimed to ensure that both employers and employees get a good deal apart from helping in improving ease of doing business in India. The amendments include doing away with the clause that allows arrest of employers for not implementing Apprenticeship Act, increasing the overtime limit for employees from 50 hours a quarter to 100 hours, relaxing restrictions on night work for women in factories, and empowering the central government to make rules on health and safety hazards, among others. Some of the amendments expected, like the ones proposed by the Rajasthan government, have however not been included. We will discuss today the amendments approved by the Union Cabinet, which is expected to be brought before the Parliament soon, and how and if it can improve the relations between the labour and the industry. To discuss this, I have with me Virjesh Upadhyay, General Secretary of the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, Amarjeet Kaur, National Secretary, the CPI, BP Pant, Advisor FICCI, and Jesim Pais, Assistant Professor, Institute for Industrial Development. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Upadhyay, I would like to come to you first. Do you think that we sometime back, about a month back, we had discussions in the same studio on the issue of labour laws and things like that, and some of the amendments which were proposed by the Rajasthan government. Yeah. But we have seen most of those amendments which the Rajasthan government had proposed have not been included in this amendments which the cabinet has approved yesterday. Do you think that the amendments which have been approved are going to be beneficial by and large to the workers?
Actually, this is true that amendment in the labour laws are overdue. But the way government is trying to introduce all these,
yes,
it is not correct, and no way it is going to help the industry, worker or anyone.
When you say the way, what do you mean the way?
Way means there is a system, tripartite mechanism is there. ILO Convention 144, India is a member country of the ILO. They prescribe that whenever any change government intend to bring that, then all stakeholders, employers, workers and government should come together, then only they can. So I asked, the way means unilaterally government has brought this. We have asked this government before introducing anyone, first you consult the stakeholders, you call tripartite meeting. Government has not gone on that way. Unilaterally, they have put this on the website and they ask the suggestions from. But the legally stakeholders means trade unions and employers, formally we have not been consulted. So we are totally against the way government is trying to do this.
So the consultation process, you're objecting the lack of consultation process in the...
Not only that. That is one thing. Means, as I asked, these are the overdue. Means, reform in the labour laws are necessary. Laws are overlapping, they are outdated, they are there. And the second labour commission was for this purpose only. Number of recommendations are there, unanimous recommendations are there. If really government intends to reform the labour laws in the interest of the country, in the interest of workmen, then they should first go to National Labour Commission.
Right.
Unanimous recommendation, first they should go with that. Hardly 4 or 5 items are there on which there is dissent note from trade unions. Rest of the 1700 pages recommendation, rest of the issues, there is unanimity. Why they are not going to that way?
So, are you trying to say that some of those amendments on which there is unanimity, none of them exist, none of them appear in these amendments which the government is proposing?
Not in that way. Not in that way. They are purely what the amendment government has brought, they are just to favor the employers. You see, if you refer Apprenticeship Act.
No, we will come to the details of the amendments a little later, but I take your point that the way that it is being brought about, you have objection to it. Let me get Mr. Pant on this. Mr. Pant, I'm sure you must have gone through some of the amendments which the cabinet is proposing to these laws. Do you think that, Mr. Upadhyay feels that these amendments are basically aimed at helping only the employers and not the employees?
I think my response would be that the basic purpose of the labor laws is, twofold. One is that to create employment, second is to draw investment. I think both these are interconnected. And I think that what Mr. Upadhyay has stated that he has not touched upon the basic objective of employment creation. And these labor laws, sometimes I feel that are connected with creating employment. Look, take the example of apprentice law. Apprentice law, why I don't understand. We have only yesterday I was looking at the census report that there are 58 million enterprises in India. And the present Apprentice Act covers only 2,000 and something establishment. Why each factory, why each manufacturing place cannot be a training place? This is our basic argument. And the FICCI widely welcomes this initiative of the government, and these amendments were overdue for a long time. That we feel about it.
So you don't
this
think...
is one thing.
Second
thing is that if you look at the...
Please carry on.
The second thing I feel that if you look at the Indian employment scenario, a majority say 94% of the manpower is in the informal sector, which are denied every benefit, even they are not receiving the social security. Leave aside these employment relations. And 7 to 8% in the organized sector, they are enjoying every benefit. Sometimes what happens that the airlines has gone on strike. Sometimes they feel that hospitals have gone on strike, and the common man is at the mercy of these 7 to 8% workers. If some amendments are brought in to help this unemployment, this informal sector, number one, number two, create employment, then what is the harm? I think that we should welcome it.
So you think that these amendments will, improve employment situation in this country, will create more employment, both in the formal and informal sector?
Certainly. Yes, why not? Because the Apprentice Act is aimed at creating people more skilled. This is one thing.
Okay,
and we'll look at this Factories Amendment Act.
Okay, we will come to the specifics a little later. Amarjeet ji, so you know, where do you stand on this? See, some of the amendments which will come to, like what has been mentioned, what I mentioned in the introduction also. You think that some of these amendments at least are going to be helpful to create more employment, at least, as Mr. Pant says?
You see, my friend from BMS spoke just now, and I would.
It's very interesting that I just want to tell the viewers that Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, Mr. Upadhyay will not agree with me. He always says that they have no affiliation, but the fact is that we think everybody knows that they are affiliated to the larger parivar. And I'm sure the trade unions feel that the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh is more closer to the BJP, but still he has objections to it. You
see, speaking from AITUC, we have been together for last more than 5 years, all the central trade unions, including BMS, Intak and the left trade unions, everybody. And all of us evolved an agenda of 10-point charter of demand. In our very first meeting with the new labour minister, we presented our common views. In the very first meeting with Finance Minister on 6 June, we presented our opinions jointly. We represented the present Prime Minister jointly, what we were doing earlier. And we stick to the issues that when you talk of labour law reforms, you have to take on board the labour representatives. Despite our request, the government has gone single-handedly, unilaterally. That is the objection which Virjesh ji has just now raised it. And I go along with it. Yes, this is our objection. And not only that, even on the laws, I should say, if FICCI is happy, SOCHM is happy, CII is happy, and trade unions are not happy, this itself shows from trade union point of view, from labour point of view, we think the labour is not receiving the due which it wants to. Apprentice Act is not new. Apprentice Act is very old. And this Act, the amendment is not creating more jobs. Amendment is actually removing the punitive term which was there. The employers who were not following what should have been followed as far as apprentice is concerned. So it is not for increasing of employment. The act was there, the apprentices were there. You should extend it to more industries and enterprises. Trade unions are not objecting to it. No, but this is going against. You talk of Factories Act. We know what is happening to women. Night shift in the Factories Act for women. We have been opposing it, but the employers, in the name of more consignments from abroad, they always push for it. You look at the Industrial Dispute Act, which is also will be coming in the forefront next, if not just now, because Rajasthan government has already come about those things and asking the central government to save it. ID Act, they want to improve. Trade Union Act.
We will not touch today about what they were intended to do, but what have they done? We will stick to that.
Industrial relations will not improve.
One second, Amarjeet ji, one of the points which has been raised, you know, as far as the apprenticeship, the amendments proposed in the Apprenticeship Act is concerned, 500 new trades are to be added, you know, under this ambit of this apprenticeship.
We don't have objections to all that.
You don't have objections. Holidays, as far as holidays, leave, shift is concerned, the same will be applicable to the apprentices as it is going to be applicable to the regular workers.
And we have
this
fought
is something
for
it. which you have
Yes,
to,
we welcome it. We fought for it. We trade unions fought for it. To extend what regular employees are getting, extend all those facilities to these apprentices. So because they not only train them, after training them, they take work from them as regular workers. They take output out of that. They make profits. They are not objecting to that. Right. But then some amendments within Apprentice Act are going in a way which will go against the workers' interest, because then the punitive steps which needed to be improved upon and increased are being removed.
No, the argument is that this clause which was there about arresting employers if they don't follow certain sections of the Act,
some deterrence has to be there.
That was creating a situation because of which, according to the Union Minister of State for Labour, you know, the apprenticeship regime in India manages to train 2,82,000 apprentices against 4,90,000 apprenticeship seats in the central and state sector established. What they are trying to say is this punitive clause was, you know, creating a problem for the employers not to take the apprentices at all. So this should be helpful for them.
They should show us data. They should show us data. Was there any single or 2 or 3 cases where anybody was punished? It was lying there in law.
Very quickly, Mr. Upadhyay.
These are the arguments just to give away the protections provided to the workers.
Yes.
Otherwise, nobody is going to create more employment. Okay. No labor laws are a hurdle in creating employment.
Okay, let me get academic who has been studying on this. Pais, you think that some of these amendments which have been proposed, at least to some extent, or as the government wants us to, you know, believe, is going to help both the employers and the employees?
Let me first come to the Apprentice Act and the punitive thing. You see, every act has punitive provisions, and going to jail, sending the employer to jail is there in most of the acts. So I don't understand. Factories Act, it is there. In every other act.
No, it is there in the law. How much has it been used so far?
No, so
has there been any study on that?
No, there is no study. No, the point is, how come government at this moment thinks that by removing this punitive action, employment or the role of apprentice is going to be increased? That is not very clear. And as co-panelists,
it will give an impetus, incentive to the employers who will not be under fear of being arrested and put in jail. That so he will have more people coming under as
this applies to all the laws. This applies to all the laws. Employers, meaning if this is the logic, it applies to all the laws. So actually it doesn't. And as an academic, I have not come across any study which says that employment is reducing because employers are scared of going to jail. You see, this is about punishment, not about the fine, but about the punishment of going to jail. I have not come across any study. So on what basis this government is trying to say this is not very clear.
Okay. What are the other things?
Now,
as far as the, let us, apprenticeship, in the Apprenticeship Act, they're proposing certain, welfare measures which should be a welcome feature.
Yeah, that is welcome. But the point is, if there is an Apprentice Act for so many years, and the number of, meaning formal training as apprentice is so low, then I think any serious government should take this up, do a serious study, go into the factories, send academics like me into the factories, try to find out why this is not happening, the point of view of apprentice, the point of view of the employer, and then come up with something instead of doing a thing like getting rid of this punishment and waiting for some miracle to happen. Nothing is going to happen.
That's what we were referring. That's what
okay.
we were referring.
Mr. Pant, how do you react to this? Has there been any study, at least from the industry side, and you know, what made the government to remove this penalty clause? Was it one of the demands of the industry that this penalty clause should be removed? And if it is removed, we will show that there will be much more apprentices who will be taken in. What do you think is the basis for the removal of this clause?
No. Why you are focusing only on penal provisions? It's a psychological fear in the minds of the industry or employers that if we employ so many apprentices, engage so many apprentices, something may happen, something may happen. You look at the other provisions of the Apprentice Act. You know, the stipend has been increased to 17, has been put at 70 to 90% of the minimum wages. My friend from trade unions are not citing that. That leaves, the shift, everything has been regulated as per the, you know, that as per the entitlement of the regular worker. Why it is not being signed? See, what used to happen in the factory, if you go and see how the apprentice works there, he is shown from a distance that you look, this part is manufactured like this, the machine is used like this, he is never involved in the production processes. You know, look at the apprentice or this vocational training provided in the Switzerland. If you look at the model, fantastic model. 3 years, in 3 years training, the first year, after some time basic training, the employee starts giving 20% production of a normal worker. And by the time he reaches the 3rd year, he starts giving 75 to 80% of the normal production of the normal worker.
So,
and how you can teach a person to work unless you give him a hands-on experience? This is necessary.
Who is,
if he
nobody
gets
is
I'm sure he is an expert, he will be a skilled worker.
Mr. Pant, I don't think there is any objection to to these apprentices being a hands-on experience. My question to you is, then how can, you know, one second, please, let me finish the question. My question is, you know, being a representative of the industry, do you think, or can the industry promise that after these amendments have been brought in, there will be a dramatic improvement and, you know, hike in the employment, or getting more and more apprentices, as one of the union ministers of state is saying, you know, just 50% of the available space for apprentices are being utilized by the industry.
See, hello.
Yeah. Please continue.
Gone. Whatever.
I can hear you, Mr. Pant.
In FICCI, we say that what is employment? Unemployment is a person who is not capable of doing anything. By strengthening this Apprentices Act, you are making people employable. You are making people skilled. They will be able to do something at least. Why you are objecting? This trade union is not objecting to their raise in the stipend, not objecting to their
why should they?
We were demanding
leave,
why
holidays, etc. Not raising this 500 figure. Then you are objecting only one thing, that the penal provision has gone off.
Okay, so you think
is it the only complaint from the trade union side? I ask you.
Mr. Pant, I'll come back to you. There are other issues to be discussed. Mr. Upadhyay, coming to the Labour Laws Act 1988, about which there are amendments which have been proposed. One of that is definition of small establishments has now been changed, will be changed between 10 and 40 people. You think that this is a progressive amendment?
I don't think like that. Because in present scenario, the size of industries is going to be more smaller. Changing this way means indirectly you are going to say labor laws will not be applicable to them.
Yes.
Means they are totally free for obligation of applying labor laws.
Below anybody who employs below 10 people?
Yes. They are increasing that.
Yes.
Our demand is, see, nowadays there are industries, small industries having 4, 5, 7 workers there. And most of them, they are not covered under any law. They are increasing this one. Means government is trying in the hand of employers not to apply any labor law to them. They will not cover under EPF, they will not cover under any labor law. What does they are doing to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That point has been made. Let's come to the Factories Act 1948.
No, in this, the two things I want to say. Like in Apprentice Act, the positive things which have come up, Pantji said, why you don't say good about it. We have been fighting for that and it has come about. So we are satisfied on as far as that.
Yes.
We are objecting to the other thing. As similarly on these small scale industries, there are certain positive things. We want the employers not to pass through too much cumbersome process of maintaining registers. Something good. But then excluding workers from any kinds of laws, the benefits which Factory Act gives them, this will bring. And that too in a high-tech technology which is day in, day out, will be increasing and less number of workers will be required. That means you want to exclude the labor force totally out of the Factory Act benefits to the workers to be extended. That's the objection which Virjesh ji has said.
Okay. What about the overtime limit which has been raised?
No, that also is objectionable. Already they are taking too much overtime. Already they are not paying for that. What is violations in the labor laws happening are actually being legalized now. There is no clause that how much extra they will be paying, how they will be calculating it. As is in government sector or in public sector, if you take overtime, what do you do and all. Without that, extending their work, which already they are taking 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours they are taking from workers, and now they want to legalize it. I think it is objectionable.
Okay, you please bring about some clarity on this. The amendment proposed in the Factories Act 1948 as far as overtime limit is concerned is to raise it to 100 hours from 50 hours and reducing the number of days from 240 to 90 days. What does it mean?
Yeah, so normally the work day is 8 hours, 9 hours and the spread over, meaning you can spread the work day up to 9 hours, 10 hours. So just now what they want to do is increase the spread over and increase the overtime. Now, as my co-panelist said, in practice, this is already there. There is almost no factory in this country where workers don't work for 12 hours. Everywhere workers work for 12 hours. On the ground, this is the situation. So there is already 12 hours of work.
Are they paid overtime after 8 hours?
The law till now says that beyond 8 hours, for overtime you get more or less double the normal wage. And so now at least by law, you are obliged to give double. Whether you give or no is another issue. It's about implementation. But now this amendment is saying you don't even have to give double the normal wage. And so slowly the 8-hour wage is going to, in my view, it's going to, the 12-hour day is going to become, 8-hour wage is going to be stretched.
8-hour day is going to become a 12-hour day without any additional benefits.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then that's not a good thing.
Mr. Pant, how do you look at this? Was this something which the industry has been demanding and has got it?
Yeah. No, see, let us look at this way. Overtime is not a compulsory. This is voluntary to be accepted by the worker or workman or whatever you call it.
So he has a choice?
If the work is available, some extra work is available, he has the choice. Absolutely, he has the choice. He has the choice. He can say, no, I cannot stay. This happens in industry. This happens in industry. Now the thing is that suppose the extra worker, you can say that commitments are to be discharged by the employer, some extra work is to be done and workmen are available. So why this law should come in between? Why not to allow the worker, the employer to engage the worker, request the worker if you can stay, it's okay.
No, but
it's not a compulsory thing.
No, but it
gives only a facility. It gives a facility to the industry.
Mr. Pant,
and it's a spread over. Second thing is it's a spread. Yeah.
Mr. Pant, the question is, as Pais was pointing out, now 8 hour is the norm, but 12 hour is de facto what happens, or 10 hours. Now that 12 hours, if they are forced to work for 12 hours, they don't get any benefits of overtime after 8 hours. That is the fear of people who are sitting here on the panel here. You think that fear is unfounded?
No, sir. Unfounded, totally unfounded. The overtime paid in India is double the rate of ordinary wages, and I think that by global benchmark it's highest, as I feel. And the second thing is that overtime existed even now. It's 9 hours, 8 hours, or with overtime it's 9 hours a day, spread over 10.5 hours. and it has been spread over to, it has been increased by 1.5 hours.
Okay.
Nothing unusual in it.
Mr. Upadhyay.
Very serious and unusually very serious thing.
Okay, Mr. Upadhyay, do you agree with that? You know, what is the problem?
Actually, whatever government has done, whatever good has been shown in the favor of labor, that is just to solely just to manage the document only. Otherwise, we are fighting for implementation of labor laws. What Pant ji has said, stipend has been increased. We are fighting for implementation of minimum wage, because there is no penalty clause, there is no fear to implement the labor laws. So this has no mean for the workers.
Okay.
This is totally anti-labor.
Just about 4 years ago, they moved from textile industry, first of all, when they were asking for increase of working hours officially. And we had strongly opposed it. So the government could not bring about it. Now bringing it here, Panji says it will be good and it will be flexible and they can refuse. Even well-protected person with job security in public sector and government sector is not able to say no to the senior boss that I cannot stay, cannot say that I can't stay for 1 hour or 2. Cannot say. And here he is talking of a factory worker having so much courage, who is afraid even of going to union office, will have courage and say, no sir, I am not going to stay. This doesn't happen. There is a hire and fire system. This will create that process of hire and fire system. The workers will be very happy who are already working for 10 hours, 12 hours. If you within this law see to it that it is put over there, okay, you will officially on record will be working for 10 hours or 12 hours. This is extra you are going to be paid. Worker is already working for that, will be happily working if you put it in law, if the payment is done. But it is not happening.
Okay.
That's why we are opposing it.
Pais, you know, there is one of the...
pushing us back to 1946. In 46, we achieved 12 hours of working day. That was colonial India. We fought for limited working hours day, and it is only after getting independence we came to 8 hours day. We don't want to go back.
Pais, you know, one of the amendments proposed is to, you know, the eligibility for benefits like leave with pay and things like that, which used to be for 240 days. After 240 days, a worker would get those benefits. Now it's been reduced to 90 days. This is one, seems to be a positive amendment which has...
It is positive.
Okay, all of you agree that this is a positive amendment and it will help the workers.
It is positive, but I don't understand, when it was 240, there was hardly any implementation. There were lots of implementation issues. It couldn't be implemented. Now, what is the point of when a government, when a state cannot implement this provision, 240 days?
Yeah.
And meaning, in these documents, where does it say, what is the mechanism for implementing it when it is 90 days? There is nothing.
For that, we'll have to probably wait for the government to bring about these amendments in the parliament, where all the details would be hopefully available. Mr. Pant, very quick last words to you. But you know, from what you have heard from our friends from the trade unions here, you know, they don't seem to be too happy with some of the things which are, at least some of the amendments which are being proposed. But do you still think that there can be a common ground worked out to ensure that both the employers and the employees will be happy with these amendments?
It's difficult to say that, because if some amendment is made, either employer will be happy or the trade unions will be happy.
Oh, so only one can be happy.
But certainly these amendments are not very significant. Yeah.
Okay.
One can be happy. That's true.
Okay. The amendments you say
are
still not as
larger interest of the country.
Okay. You say that the amendments are still not as significant.
No, my friend.
Yes.
My friend from trade union side have welcomed many provisions of the Apprenticeship Act. I mean, that's very happy. It's a music to my ears.
Okay, very good. Very quickly, Mr.
Upadhyay. I differ from Pantji. If all stakeholder, employer and worker will sit together, we can work out what changes should be there.
Yes.
If we can design the change, it can be.
Okay, on that note, we need to end. I hope the government will listen to what you have just said and hopefully bring you people together before bringing these amendments to the parliament, so that we can ensure that there is a peaceful resolution to it and both employers and employees are going to be happy with these amendments. But we'll wait and watch how the government will approach the issue. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. B.P. Pant, Virjesh Upadhyay, Amarjeet Kaur and Jesim Pais. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue on the big picture same time tomorrow.